Let us pray. O Lord, we give thanks for the bounty of our province, our land, our resources, and our people. We pledge ourselves to act as good stewards on behalf of all Albertans. Amen.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions. Reading and receiving petitions. Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Notices of motions. Introduction of bills. Tabling returns and reports.
Minister of Advanced Education.
Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to table today the 1987-88 annual report for the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology.
The Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to file two documents with the House. First of all, a report that is with regards to industrial tax transfers, and secondly, the response to motion 172 requested by this Assembly.
Introduction of special guests.
Member for Drumheller.
Mr. Speaker, it is my pleasure today to introduce to you and through you to members of the Assembly two distinguished Albertans who are seated in your gallery. The first is the Honourable Member for Calgary Northeast, Mr. Alex Kendi, and the second is His Worship Mayor Doucette of the City of Drumheller. I would ask them both to rise and receive the traditional warm welcome of the Assembly.
Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce two groups to you today. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to introduce to you and members of the Assembly 32 grade 6 students from Delton Elementary School, Mr. Speaker. I've been at the school many times. I know the teachers. They do excellent work, Mr. Speaker, and I might point out that the Minister of the Environment was there not so long ago to kick off Clean Up Edmonton Week, and I'm sure he enjoyed himself. Mr. Speaker, I would ask them to stand and receive the traditional welcome from the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it's also my pleasure to introduce 26 students from St. Patrick's School. Mr. Speaker, these are from English as a second language group. Mr. Speaker, they're accompanied by their three teachers, Margot Salopik, Dan Qualley, Christine Kapchak. And while I'm on my feet, I forgot to introduce the teachers from Delton, Mr. Speaker, and a parent, Hilda Ma, Adeline Glenn, and Mrs. Melita Love. Mr. Speaker, I'd like the group from St. Patrick to stand and also receive the traditional welcome from the Assembly.
Member for Lacombe, followed by Red Deer North.
Mr. Chairman, it's a pleasure to introduce to you and through you to the members of the legislature 31 students from the Mirror School, situated in the constituency of Lacombe. They are accompanied today by their teachers, Mrs. Walton and Mrs. Sawyer, their parents, Mr. Walton, Mr. Copeland, Mrs. Chin, and Mrs. Height. They're seated in the members' gallery, and I'd ask them to rise and receive the traditional welcome of this House.
Red Deer North.
Mr. Speaker, it's a privilege to introduce you today a very important group from Red Deer North, and that is the students and some staff from St. Teresa's School. There's 24 students. They're accompanied by one of their teachers, Sheila Spencer, librarian Barb Barrett, their principal, Mr. Ken Cusworth, and with Mr. Cusworth is his father-in-law, Wilf Lindley, all the way from England, just to be with us here today. I'd ask this group to rise and receive the warm welcome of the House.
Edmonton Kingsway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you and through you to the members of the Assembly 10 vocational students from the Winifred Stewart School. They are English as a second language group and in fact represent a veritable United Nations. I see they've listed all the 10 names here, but I couldn't begin to pronounce them all. But I do wish that they and their teacher, Mr. Dean McKay, would stand and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
Ministerial statements. Oral question period.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to direct my question to the Minister of Family and Social Services. Mr. Speaker, conspicuously absent at the Western Premiers Conference is any discussion of one of the most pressing social issues of our time, and that is the poverty rate in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are growing numbers of people falling below the poverty line, and growing numbers of people, especially children, that are below this poverty line. Now, this government, Mr. Speaker, gives lip service to the family. They tell us how much they care about the family, Mr. Speaker, but I say to you there is a double standard. When the rich and powerful friends need help, they react, this government. But when the families below the poverty level ask for help, Mr. Speaker, they're ignored by this government. Now, Mr. Speaker, there are 93,600 children below the poverty level in this province. My question to the minister is, why is the government not responding at all to this growing social problem?
Mr. Speaker, I don't accept the comment that the Leader of the Opposition made in respect to this government not responding to the needs of family. He asked, as usual, a number of questions in his prelude, and I think the first question, Mr. Speaker, was why wasn't this matter being dealt with at the very important Western Premiers Conference? And I think had he paid a little closer attention in question period last week, he would have noted that our Premier outlined in a broad frame, Mr. Speaker, 4 major topics that were going to be discussed at this Premiers Conference. One of them, Mr. Speaker, was the family.
Yeah, not Mr. Poverty. Speaker, I'm talking about the families below the poverty level, not rhetoric. And I come back, Mr. Speaker, to this minister and ask this question. Why is this government not responding to this growing social problem, Mr. Speaker? What are you doing about it? Hear, hear.
Well, Mr. Speaker, again, I'd want to say that I appreciate the Leader of the Opposition expressing a concern I think that all of us share in this Assembly, and that's of families living below the poverty line. I've said before in this Assembly, Mr. Speaker, that it's not a situation that is unique to Alberta. It's a concern right across this nation. It's a concern that Canadians certainly take no pride in seeing people below the poverty line. I would only again reiterate that here in this province, I suppose there's some consequence in knowing that in terms of the percentages below the poverty line in this province are second lowest in Canada, only behind Ontario.
Mr. Speaker, this is precisely what I mean about this government being totally out of touch with the reality, Mr. Speaker. And I come back to this minister. Rather than lip service and concern, that's nice, Mr. Minister, but I've asked you specifically to lay out today in this Assembly some concrete proposals about how you're going to deal with that problem. That's what I'm asking about, Mr. Speaker.
Again, Mr. Speaker, I always welcome the opportunity about discussing government initiatives. And again, if they paid a little closer attention to the throne speech, they'd recall this government's commitment, first of all, Mr. Speaker, to the establishment of a Premier's Council on the Family. I'm looking forward to seeing that council put in place. I'm confident that we're going to have some excellent, dedicated Albertans that share the Honourable Leader's concern about family in this province. Further, Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward to the Lieutenant Governor's Conference on the Family. It'll be attended by a broad spectrum of Albertans, and I will make sure, Mr. Speaker, that the Leader of the Opposition is invited to that conference. And if he has some good suggestions or some concrete ideas, I hope that he'll bring them forward. But I hope he'll use a little imagination, Mr. Speaker, and not be prepared to just stamp stand up and say, let's spend more money. I hope he'll bring forward, Mr. Speaker, some creative ideas, some good suggestions, and as I say, I'll be happy to invite him.
Thank you. Second main question, Leader of the Opposition.
I assure you're going to get more concrete ideas in this assembly than you want to handle, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to designate my second question to the member from Vegreville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What we're seeing here is an appalling double standard of a government unwilling to respond to the real needs of children in Alberta, 93,000 of whom live in poverty, yet eager to dish out taxpayers' money to their wealthy and powerful friends. Right. Mr. Speaker, yesterday in this Assembly, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade admitted that Peter Pocklington has received half of his $12 million loan to build a pork processing plant in Picture Butte, and he further admitted that no construction has been completed to date. How can this minister justify lending $6 million of taxpayers' money to Mr. Pocklington to build a plant that isn't being built?
Mr. Speaker, the only double standards that I have detected in the Legislative Assembly are the ones that are coming from the New Democratic Party, whereby one day they indicate to me that we should be offering additional support to plants such as Redcliffe, and the next day they're suggesting to me that we shouldn't be offering any support to gainers, whereby if the honourable member will reflect back, if the honourable member will reflect back on the news release when the former minister announced the loan guarantees and the loan to Gainers Corporation, it indicated in that news release that this was to protect the some 1,200 jobs that are presently in existence within the Gainers organization. It was also within that news release, and the honourable member is correct as it relates to the establishment of additional plants in southern Alberta, and it was our hope, and it still is our hope, that the plant will proceed in southern Alberta, recognizing the importance that the pork plant would play to southern Alberta pork producers. If the honourable member has some information that I'm unaware of, I would appreciate that information from him. I'm aware, Mr. Speaker, that there has been some delays as it relates to the environmental assessments of that plant, and we want to make sure that, as we have done with our forestry projects, that all environmental considerations are taken into account before any construction takes place within this province. In addition to that, I gather that there has been some delay in the discussions with the municipality as it relates to water and sewer. But if the honourable member is aware of something that I'm not, I would appreciate that information, Mr. Speaker.
Money back then, Peter. He's not
$6 million buys a lot of hope, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask the minister, though, with respect to Mr. Pocklington's loan that is at 9.6%, when we have Alberta capital bonds returning 11.75% interest, one might be tempted to sock the money away for a year, in which case a person would make a cool $100,000 off the money he's received so far. And I'd like to know what proof the minister has that the $6 million of Alberta taxpayers' money advanced to Mr. Pocklington is not being used in some unrelated investment, earning interest for him at a rate greater than what he's paying us.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to share that information with the honourable member, but again I would ask the honourable member to exercise his responsibilities, and in the event that he is aware of something that we're not aware of, we would appreciate that information. But let me indicate to the honourable member, Mr. Speaker, they ask a question and they don't want to hear the answer. Mr. Speaker, the draw as it relates to the actual loan through our department, Mr. Pocklington has to sign a declaration indicating that the money is used for the purposes under which the agreement was signed, and in the event that there is any contravention to that declaration, the full force of the law would come to bear. In the event that the honourable member is aware, and I would ask him not to deal in innuendo, but if he has some facts, we would appreciate it.
Mr. Speaker.
The question is if we're not going to get the answers. Thank you.
I suppose that a government that doesn't keep its promises can't expect their big shot friends to keep promises either. But Albertans do.
Okay, on order, please. This is the last, we're into a supplementary here. Let's have the question, please.
What specific guarantees in writing is this minister prepared to show to the taxpayers of Alberta that this government's handouts to Mr. Pocklington will indeed be used to create jobs and generate economic activity in the province of Alberta?
Or even a plant.
Mr. Speaker, let me indicate to the honourable member, and it's too bad they didn't do a thorough job of researching this. We've supported Fletcher's, we've supported Cargill, we've supported Lakeside, we've supported Canada Packers, we've supported Centennial, we've supported XL Foods. I can go through an extensive list, and I'm going to go through this list when my estimates are before the House later on this afternoon, of those companies we have supported. And we've supported them on the basis, Mr. Speaker, not according to the honourable member's accusations, but so that we can add further diversification to this great province of ours, so that we can continue with job creation, as I've indicated in this House before, because of our aggressive intervention in the economy, Mr. Speaker. We led all provinces by way of economic growth this past year, and we're going to do the same thing this year. We preserved some 1,200 jobs in the city of Edmonton. I recognize that the honourable member is not concerned with jobs and he's willing to twist things, but we are concerned with the jobs, Mr. Speaker. We are concerned to make sure that our farmers, who are the primary producers, have access to proper food processing facilities, and we're going to continue to offer that strong support.
Thank you. Edmonton Whitemud, followed by Hagwood.
Mr. Speaker, this recently released report prepared by the Ombudsman clearly shows the dangers and consequences that occur when we have a government that suffers from acute bureaucracy and an obvious fatigue and a total indifference. The 48% increase in formal investigations speaks for itself. The system is not correcting itself. People are fed up with the style of government. Instead of having a government that is there to serve, people are encountering a bureaucratic nightmare. In light of these startling statistics, we need to know what the government intends to do to prevent and correct the growing list of problems. My question, Mr. Speaker, to the Deputy Premier: according to the report, there were a number of cases, a substantial number of cases investigated that concluded administrative error was to blame. Will the Deputy Premier, in light of these appalling statistics, now review all governmental procedures?
Mr. Premier, or Mr. Speaker, at least, I've had an opportunity to only briefly look at the Ombudsman report. And obviously, I'm sure all members are concerned when an officer of this legislature makes a report to the legislature, that we give it the fullest possible hearing, the fullest possible vetting of the concerns that he raised. And there are several concerns that he raises here. It is true that the Ombudsman in his report does state that the number of cases have in fact increased, but I would draw the member's attention to the Ombudsman's own words. This is a dramatic increase, but not necessarily indicative of a negative administrative trend within government, Mr. Speaker. Those are the words of the Ombudsman himself. So I have no dispute with what the Ombudsman is saying, but I do have a dispute with what the member from Whitemud is saying, because that isn't what the Ombudsman is saying. The numbers have gone up, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure this House will have an opportunity through the regular process through which this report is handled in this Assembly, through the committee it's been established, to have an opportunity to air the views of the Ombudsman, and I would not want to change that process, given the responsibilities which members of that committee have.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Social Services. Family and Social Services. Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Family and Social Services. The number of administrative errors within the Department of Social Services, Family and Social Services, was also needlessly high. 19 out of 121 cases, and no doubt to high caseloads. Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, will the Minister now move to reduce the caseload of each worker?
Mr. Speaker, and again, first of all, I want to remind the member opposite that we did, in the latter part of last year, add an additional 59 positions to help deal with the caseload factor that was in place. And subsequent to that, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the honourable member wanted me to answer the question or if he wanted his colleague to answer the question.
Order, please, Honourable Minister. Perhaps direct your comments through the chair and ignore the other members, please.
Mr. Speaker, I just thought it would be easier for him to ask his colleague direct if he wanted her answer. But I began by saying that We are assessing this situation. It is under review. We are looking at a number of options and avenues that are available to us to improve workloads. I would say that we're consulting with our frontline workers, and I'm happy to say that there have been 16 workshops set up across this province for senior management to meet with caseworkers direct and their supervisors to discuss with them ways of working out reasonable workloads for them to carry.
Mr. Speaker, to the Deputy Premier, in view of the statement made earlier that there hasn't been sufficient time for him to review the report, will he undertake to prepare a public report in response to the Ombudsman's finding within the next 6 months and have it as evidence of progress to assure Albertans that these problems have indeed been addressed and corrected?
There again, Mr. Speaker, I have to take issue with what it is the member from Whitemud is reporting. I've already indicated that the Ombudsman himself, in his own statement, in his own report, has said this is not an administrative problem facing the government. This is a frequency problem, which because of the way in which complaints are now handled, there's going to be more complaints coming forward, Mr. Speaker. And so I'm not going to second-guess the Ombudsman. I think it's more appropriate, as I said before, and I would hope the member from Whitemud would accept that as an appropriate statement as well, that we should ask the Ombudsman to come to the committee to talk about it. He hasn't made a request to do that, Mr. Speaker. We now have the report in our hand, which has been a table as a matter of record. And before we start to prejudge what it is the Ombudsman intends, surely, Mr. Speaker, a House such as this, with a history such as this, and a precedent such as this, would allow the Ombudsman to have an opportunity to say what it is he expects, and to have the committee in its fullest opportunity to debate, to understand, and to make recommendations to all of us in the Assembly. That's the process, Mr. Speaker. It's not a government process. I have to make that very clear. It's a legislative assembly process, and let's not forget that.
Okay. Member for Highwood, followed by Edmonton Jasper Place.
Mr. Speaker, my constituents in Highwood are concerned about the environment. A little over a year ago, the newspapers, radio, and television were full of warnings about the pollution that would result if the Cargill plant was permitted to locate along the Highwood River near High River. Mr. Speaker, my question today is for the Minister of Environment. In that last week, the Cargill plant began operations. What is his department doing about the resulting pollution in the Highwood River?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my department's doing absolutely nothing about it because there's which is what happens, and that's the honest truth, because there's nothing to be done. As a matter of fact, the plant has done everything that is absolutely necessary to do to ameliorate environmental concerns. They have taken a situation whereby there was a proposal to dump the effluent into the Bow River, first the Highwood River, then the Bow River. And now what they have done is they've developed a 7-mile or 7-kilometer pipeline to a 7-mile pipeline to a dried-up lake, Frank Lake, where the treated effluent is now dumped and allowed to settle, and that lake in itself has become a preserve for wildlife. So it has turned out to be a win-win-win situation.
Here, here. Mr. Speaker, my first supplemental then would be to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. If what the Honourable Minister of the Environment has said is so, what is his department doing and prepared to do to help the MD of Foothills, the towns of High River and Okotoks, and the Cargill Company to facilitate this environmentally sound disposition of the effluent from this plant?
Mr. Speaker, to the honourable member, we have worked with the jurisdictions mentioned by the member to form what is called the Foothills Regional Services Commission, which takes the responsibility of dealing with the effluent.
Mr. Speaker, my final supplemental is to the Minister of Economic Development and Trade. How does a plant like the Cargill fit into the diversification strategy and trade strategy of your department and of this province?
Mr.
Mr. Speaker, we were very involved, as were a number of departments, making sure that it did play an important role in the economic diversification strategy of the province, plus met the highest environmental standards and worked very closely with the communities involved. It's going to contribute significantly to the well-being of our slaughter facilities within the province. The Alberta Cattle Commission has indicated their delight at having the plant established here. Mr. Speaker, it's just going to add numerous jobs plus greater opportunities for our primary producers.
Thank you. Edmonton Jasper Place, followed by Calgary Northwest, then Cypress Redcliffe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is also to the Minister of the Environment, also about something he's doing nothing about. As early as 1985, the Environment Council of Alberta wrote a report referring to the unsatisfactory character of Alberta's environmental standards. In March of 1987, the matter literally blew up in everyone's face. There was a toxic gas cloud in East Calgary which sent 10 people to hospital. Despite a thorough investigation, it was found that no charges could be laid because Alberta's environmental standards are, for all practical purposes, unenforceable, which was too much even for the former minister. Over a year ago, the action plan was made public on how to deal with the situation. I'm wondering, in view of the fact that this minister likes to brag about the high standards in Alberta, whether he considers the unenforceable nature of the law sufficient to require legislation this session.
Well, Mr. Speaker, to the honourable member, I think he's referring to some 39 recommendations in that report. Those recommendations are being given a thorough assessment by my department, and indeed it is the intention of the minister to bring, not to this session, but perhaps to the next session, an all-encompassing environmental protection and enhancement legislation, which will incorporate those measures that are deemed to be reasonable and responsible, some of which are contained in that report, and the matter will be debated thoroughly at that time.
Mr. Speaker, they picked the wrong guy for the Joker in the Batman series. And the minister gets a report that says the lack of clear policy framework has resulted in creating the overall impression that legislation and regulations are completely ineffective. If that's not enough to cause the minister to act, what is?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member again appears to have some difficulty in listening. Or if he doesn't have difficulty in listening, he has difficulty in comprehending. I have just said that we are doing a very, very careful assessment of the recommendations contained in the document he just produced. And when that assessment is completed, we will take what is reasonable and responsible and incorporate that into legislation. I think that when that legislation comes to this Assembly, it will probably be the finest environmental protection and enhancement legislation anywhere.
Well, that's what he said about the old legislation. In view of the position taken by the Premier at the Western Premier's Conference, that he wants to keep the federal government out of Alberta's jurisdiction, to protect Alberta's jurisdiction by keeping the feds out, I'd like to know how you're going to convince anyone that Alberta should carry on this jurisdiction when it doesn't take any action 2, 3, 4 years after the fact.
Well, I hate to go around this for the third time, but action is being taken. Reviewing in a reasonable way recommendations to make sure that those recommendations are sound seems to me to be action, and reasonable action at that.
Calgary Northwest, followed by Cypress Redcliffe.
Mr. Speaker, it appears that for the last few years large companies have been coming to the public trough looking for assistance. Recently we've had the Minister of Economic Development and Trade announce a change in policy focusing more on small businesses. I think this is a great idea. It's something the Liberal Party has been endorsing for years. My question is to the Minister of Economic Development and Trade. When can businesses come to expect some stability and consistency? Why do we suddenly have a change in policy?
Mr. Speaker, this government has always been strongly supportive of the small business community. One only has to look at the strength and the vitality of our small business community within the province. And recognizing that we were encountering difficulties with convincing the federal government of the wisdom of having a lower interest rate policy, we announced two substantial policies for the small business community, one being our interest shielding program, the other the capital loan program. And I'm happy to report to the honourable member that we sent out at the latter part of last week those forms to the lending institutions that are participating so that the small business community can fill out their application forms and begin that process of accessing either a capital loan guarantee program or our interest shielding program.
Can the minister then please clarify, is it his intention that big businesses, the multi-million-dollar businesses, will no longer be assured automatic handouts as appears to be the policy now?
Mr. Speaker, I would have to take issue with the statement of the honourable member because his facts are incorrect. We examine as to what type of a contribution a company or a business can make to the economic well-being of this province by way of contributing to the enhancement of the quality of life, and it's on those bases plus the specific impact they're going to have on the diversification within the province, and it's on that basis on which we assess the support that we are going to offer a company or a business within the province of Alberta. We are going to continue on a selective basis offering that support in the event that we feel it will contribute substantially to the well-being of this province. But recognizing that the economy has improved to such a degree, it is time for us to start to pull back as it relates to our financial packages that are put together for a number of those within the business community.
My final supplementary then is with respect to the new seed capital program announced in the February throne speech. My question is, when will the minister announce how small businesses can qualify for this program, and when will it be implemented?
Mr. Speaker, I believe that he's referring to the seed capital provisions under the Alberta Opportunity Company, and I stand to be corrected, but I will indicate to the honourable member that it is our hope within the next 2 to 3 weeks that we will have a substantial statement and a news release package as it relates to greater flexibility within the Alberta Opportunity Company, both with venture and seed capital provisions.
Cypress Radcliffe, followed by Edmonton Calder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Corporate Consumer Affairs. Last year, or 2 years ago in this Assembly, the Motor Vehicle Dealer Act received debate in second reading and received support from all sides of the House. Again, this year there's a couple of bills on the order paper relating to motor vehicle dealers and used cars. I wonder if the Speaker can update the Assembly if any action has taken place on that bill and the debate related to that bill.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member raises the issue which has been discussed several times in the House. Indeed, as a result of that discussion, there has taken place consultation with the industry, the automobile industry, with respect to new car dealers, used car dealers, recreational vehicle dealers. I might say that the response has been good to having some self-regulated body which we could delegate authority to and ensure that there are some basic standards within that industry that help to safeguard consumer interests.
Mr. Speaker, I wonder if the Minister can outline for us what the next step is in achieving the end that he suggested.
Mr. Speaker, to the honourable member, I would indicate that we have now in place delegates from each of the organizations that I mentioned that represent those car dealer organizations. Together with a couple of consumer representatives, we intend to find, I hope within the next few weeks, a chairman and establish the committee with the goal of setting in place the basis for a regulatory board, much like we've established with the insurance councils, sometime hopefully within the next number of months or early next year.
Mr. Speaker, I wonder if the Minister can suggest a timeline to the Assembly where we will have concrete actions and indeed get the charlatans out of that industry.
Mr. Speaker, we hope to, as I indicated in the previous answer, appoint that committee in the immediate future. The report I would ask from them to myself by the end of this year, and it would be my hope, of course, depending on discussions with the caucus and then the Assembly, that legislation could allow for some definite action to be taken with regards to a self-regulated authority in the next session of the legislature. I should add for the honourable member that one shouldn't assume that nothing is being done in the interim. There are, in fact, daily concerns raised with the Consumer and Corporate Affairs departments that are adjudicated between dealerships and individuals, and we continue to watch carefully what happens in that particular industry. But those initiatives which are a result of the honourable member's actions are some which I believe should take place and have a high priority with this department at this time.
Edmonton Calder, followed by Westlock Sturgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions are to the Minister of Family and Social Services. This government seems to believe that the taxpayers of Alberta can afford to give away millions of dollars to Peter Pocklington. At the same time in Alberta, there are over 93,000 children living below the poverty line, many of whom go to school hungry or without lunches.
Shame.
Will the Minister now recognize the needs of these children who are hungry and implement a provincially funded school snack program?
Well, Mr. Speaker, again, I would first of all want to preface my comments by saying that what we're really talking about here is a multi-dimensional problem, and certainly government has a role to play. Perhaps not the same role that members opposite might have us. They think that government should do everything, but the private sector has a role to play, the communities have a role to play, and we believe in working with Albertans to address some of these concerns. There are some schools that have chosen to implement food programs, such as the member has mentioned. In relation to a specific suggestion that children are undernourished or children are starving in this province, I would again would hope that if it does involve children in that situation and that there are specific circumstances, this minister would want to hear about it, because our department would want to work with those individuals to make sure that they are getting the necessary support that they need.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the private sector already is playing a role. It's the government that's not doing anything.
That's right.
And, Mr. Speaker, in view of the fact that such a program could be cost-shared with the federal government under the Canada Assistance Plan, why has this minister not made a commitment to hungry children and brought in a school snack program?
Well, again, Mr. Speaker, to suggest the government isn't doing anything is so wrong, Mr. Speaker. This government is obviously concerned about poverty in our province and in our nation. I answered that in part a little earlier, but perhaps I didn't expound as far as I should have, because I always welcome, Mr. Speaker, the opportunity to discuss some of the things that this government is doing with the private sector in resolving this situation, Mr. Speaker, and I'd want to begin with our diversification initiatives. The 40,000 new jobs that were created last year, the 25,000 new jobs that are going to be created this year. You know what, Mr. Speaker, it appalls me that the members opposite don't think that jobs are a solution to poverty in Alberta. That amazes me that they don't see that as a solution. Mr. Speaker, it's the most obvious solution there is. This government's initiatives are really taking hold, Mr. Speaker. We have a record number of Albertans employed today, and we'll continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Edmonton Calder, final.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This minister is obviously not going to do anything, and so I'd like to direct my third supplementary question or the second supplementary to the Minister of Education. It's the end of the school year, and school principals have heard nothing from this minister. Will the Minister of Education tell this Assembly whether he will keep his promise of a new program to meet the needs of children in inner-city schools, or is it going to be another hungry year for children next year?
Mr. Speaker, the provincial government has taken a number of initiatives. One, there is quite a wide-scale school lunch program offered to a number of northern communities through the various school boards in northern Alberta. Secondly, this government, through our budget that came down on June the 8th, increased community school funding by approximately 100% to ensure that those 66 designated community schools have the dollars to be able to deliver programs that meet the needs of children and families in those communities, including where it's appropriate, school lunch programs. Thirdly, in our budget, we introduced a program that is to be designed by local school boards and local schools to meet the needs of those communities that have inner city-like needs, and they may be throughout a city. But we have been working, the department has been working with the 4 school boards in Calgary and Edmonton to ensure that programs, including the possibility of school lunch programs, the dollars are there to meet the programs designed to meet the needs of young children and their families in those inner city-like communities.
West Loch Sturgeon, followed by Redwater Andrew, Edmonton Beverly, Edmonton Gold Bar, Smoky River, Edmonton Millwoods, Calgary Buffalo, Athabasca Lac La Biche, Calgary Mountain View, Calgary McKnight.
Old American. Mr. Speaker, this to the Honourable Minister of Economic Development. Following my questions yesterday on the Pocklington escapade and the answers I got, which would have been worthy of the member of Red Deer South and the dancing around, I did send a letter, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister asking whether he would table the agreement under which Mr. Pocklington is getting his loans. Mr. Speaker, today, as an earlier question, he said that on the draw they have to give, he has to give reasons on the draw, and they've drawn down $6 million. Could the Minister inform the House just what the $6 million was drawn down for?
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for West Loch Sturgeon for his question as it relates to gainers. I should indicate to him that my office did share with me that there was a letter from him. I have not had the opportunity yet to review that letter, and I look forward to reviewing the letter. As it relates to some of the specific details the Honourable Member has raised now, I look forward to sharing those details with him in an expansive way when I introduce for the second time my estimates in the Assembly later on, Mr. Speaker.
First time. Mr. Speaker, then possibly seeing that there's another $6 million line of credit on this area, could the Minister inform the House as to what actions gainers would have to go through to qualify for that new extra $6 million?
Mr. Speaker, we examine the agreements very closely, and it is the policy of this government that if in any way there has been a default under the agreement, we as a government would move very quickly to protect the interests that we do have and to secure our claim and effect recovery. Mr. Speaker, that's a general policy of this government to make sure that we take every action available to secure the money that we are holding in trustee for the populace of the province of Alberta.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. A wonderful answer to a question I didn't ask, but I will... well, do I get that free one? Or? Speaker, all right. Okay, Mr. Speaker, then just to move a little bit further, if I cannot find what Mr. Pocklington got $6 million for, I cannot find out what he will get, has to do to get a further $6 million. It's beginning to smell like the Cargill sewage pond. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, could the Minister tell me just what is the purpose of the $55 million guarantee at the time that the loan would come out?
Mr. Speaker, I'm amazed at the lack of the availability that the Honourable Member exercises when it relates to doing his research. The release went out when this was issued by the previous Minister of Economic Development as to the terms and whatnot of the loan and the loan guarantee. This information is made public when the orders and councils are passed, plus they are contained in the public accounts. If the Honourable Member wishes information, it's available to him. In addition to that, I've left him with the assurance that we are going to deal with it in a specific way when we are before the House later with our estimates. Plus, I should indicate to the Honourable Member, I'm amazed at his criticisms when I give him additional information that he hasn't even asked for. If he doesn't want the additional information, I must say I'm totally surprised.
Redwater Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question today is to the Solicitor General. Mr. Speaker, it's been brought to my attention from a constituent about an article that appeared in the Edmonton Journal 6 or so weeks ago. And this is about introducing Visa and Master charge in certain liquor stores. To the Minister, why is the Alberta Liquor Control Board introducing credit cards?
Mr. Speaker, the initial article was 6 or 7 weeks ago. The headline was in today's paper. The Alberta Liquor Control Board, after some study, has made a decision to implement on a pilot project for a 1-year period maximum in 8 stores in Alberta the use of plastic or credit cards. It is only doing that which in fact has been done by 5,000 licensees in this province in the restaurant and cocktail business. It also fits into the tourist season, whereas it's a known fact that more tourists are traveling with less cash and more plastic.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to thank the member for Vegreville for supporting my motion. Mr. Speaker, recently at the gala show at Edmonton Northlands, credit cards were accepted at the Liquor Control Board outlet. Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, what were the results of this action?
The report on my desk, Mr. Speaker, is that there was no visible indication of abuse or overuse of credit cards for the purchase at the ALCB store at the Gala Affair, which is a 1-week-long wine and food show.
Mr. Speaker, my final supplementary to the Minister. Given the strong and firm stance the Solicitor General has taken against impaired driving, how does he reconcile the appearance of easier access to liquor and his 42 impaired driving initiatives?
Mr. Speaker, there is no reconciliation necessary. This minister has no problem whatsoever with social drinking. This minister has no problem whatsoever with people on our highways. But let anybody in this province combine those two, and I'll get them.
Edmonton Beverly, followed by Edmonton Gold Bar. Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this month, Mr. Speaker, specifically the week of June the 4th to the 10th, was the National Access Awareness Week for the Disabled. And housing was one of the areas that we focused on. At that time, the Handicapped Housing Society of Alberta indicated that disabled people in Edmonton are facing a very critical housing shortage. The February 17th throne speech suggested that the government was making some issues or making some references to this. However, in June 1st throne speech, this issue was simply glossed over. My question is to the Minister of Housing. Would the Minister tell this Assembly what initiatives the government is taking to resolve the housing shortage for the disabled, or is this just another broken election promise?
Mr. Speaker, the government intends to take its responsibility with regards to this matter, and I, as the Minister, are putting into place a sequence of events to meet our commitments. The first event will occur this afternoon after question period, whereby I'm meeting with members of the Handicapped Housing Society to discuss the issue and to work out a program and a plan, and that's my intention. So, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is wrong in his assumption that we have changed our emphasis from one throne speech to the other. It is the same, and any commitment we've made, we intend to carry out.
Well, Mr. Speaker, with only 350 of 3,000 apartment buildings presently suitable for disabled people,
Will the government provide assistance towards the cost of retrofitting apartments to help ease the housing shortage for the disabled?
Mr. Speaker, that is one of the issues that we will be looking at in terms of developing and expending our funds from the Alberta Mortgage and Housing Corporation in the current year, as well as those funds allocated from the Department of Municipal Affairs. That issue is one that we want to approach. The parameter that limits our capability is funds, Mr. Speaker. Beyond that, we'd certainly like to meet with compassion if possible. But we all recognize there are limits to funding capability.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for some handicapped individuals, it is the loss of income which restricts their access to housing. Will the government consider making housing subsidies portable so that handicapped individuals will not have to move in order to get into affordable housing?
Mr. Speaker, I haven't the details of that particular suggestion. What I'd like to do is take that as notice and review it with the persons in the meeting this afternoon and other persons that may be necessary in that conversation.
The Minister of Education is supplementing, but time for question period has expired. May we have unanimous consent to complete this series of questions? Opposed? Carried. Minister of Education, briefly.
Mr. Speaker, speaking in my capacity as the Minister responsible for the Premier's Council on the Status of Persons with Disabilities, I want to just supplement my honourable colleague's answer and inform the Assembly that the Premier's Council on the Disabled has established a number of task teams that are traveling throughout the province and meeting with citizens throughout the province. They were in Edmonton June 26 and 27 earlier this week, and they will be in Grand Prairie on Friday of this week, and traveling to Fort McMurray, St. Paul, Calgary, Red Deer, Lethbridge, and Medicine Hat. And one of the task teams, Mr. Speaker, focuses on living in the community and will be addressing the issues of housing and accessibility. And I encourage all Albertans who have an interest in this important issue to make their views known to the Premier's Council task forces so that we can receive that advice, and in working in cooperation with my colleagues, we will be able to take better action for all Albertans.
Okay. Orders of the day. Might we have unanimous consent to revert briefly to the introduction of special guests?